Bhagavatam hier. Du bist nicht so gut zu übersetzen. So was, rennst du weg oder was? Ah, okay. Wer könnte für Kishore Linda? Sorry. It's more difficult if I know you, then I can ask. I have the German version here. You want to take? Sorry. So I will speak in English. They will have translation in German, yeah, but there is more people who don't understand German, so we go. But also my mother tongue is English, so it's always easier for me to speak English, not a problem. So it's like Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namam skrita naram chaiva narottamam devasarasati shantataya mudirya tasya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome today to a beautiful, wonderful day, Ram Navami, the appearance day of Lord Ram. We are coming out of our usual Srimad Bhagavatam schedule, and today the verse, as you will see on the board, is from the 9th canto, entitled Liberation. I have chosen a verse from the chapter, The Pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Okay. So we will do line by line. Okay, first. Badvodadora gupat. I'm sorry. Badvodadora gupati vivatraka kutai. Badvodadora gupati vivatri kutai. Setum kampindra karakambita birohangai. Setum kambindra karakampita purangai. Setum kambindra karakampita puruhangai. Setum kambindra karakampita purungai. Sugriva nila hanumat pramukhe nukke. Sugriva nila hanumat pramukhe nikai. Sugriva nila hanumat pramukhe nikai. Sugriva nila hanumat pramukhe nikai. Lakam vibhishana tisha vishatagrataktam. Lakam vibhishantrash vishatagrataktam. Lakam vibhishana tisha vishatagratam. Lakam vibhishana tisha vishatagratam. Okay, does somebody want to? I didn't do it completely so correctly. Maybe someone else gives it a better go. Oh, you have to go? Ah, okay. Okay, Nandimukhi, let's go. Badvodadora gupati vivadri kutai. Setum kapindra karakampita burange. Sugriva nila hanumat pramukhe nikai. Lakam vibhishandrisha vishatakradaktam. Thank you. Julian, you look like you maybe want to give it a go. Or not. Just try. It's okay. Because it's the longer line, so it's so. Okay, you don't have to. Mataji? Oh, sorry, any other problem? Padovodadora Gupati Vivatrikutai. Setum Kambindra Kara Kambita Burungai. Sugriva Nila Hanumat Pramukhanika. Lankam Vibhishana Drishvishadagradagdam. Okay, Badva, after constructing Udadau in the water of the ocean. Raghupati, Lord Ramachandra. Vivida, varieties of. Adrikutai, with peaks of great mountains. Setum, a bridge. Kapi Indra, of powerful monkeys. Kara Kampita, moved by the great hands. Buruha Angai, with the trees and plants. Sugriva, Sugriva. Nila, Nila. Hanumat, Hanuman. Pramukkai, led by. Anikai, with such soldiers. Lankam, Lanka, the kingdom of Ravana. The kingdom of Ravana. Vibhishandrisha, by the direction of Vibhishan, the brother of Ravana. Avishat, entered. Agra Dagdam, which was previously burnt by the monkey soldier Hanuman. So translation. Sukadev Goswami said, after constructing a bridge over the ocean by throwing into the water the peaks of mountain whose trees and other vegetation had been shaken by the hands of great monkeys, Lord Ramachandra went to Lanka to release Sita Devi from the clutches of Ravana. With the direction and help of Vibhishan, Ravana's brother, the Lord, along with the monkey soldiers, headed by Sugriva, Nila, and Hanuman, entered Ravana's kingdom Lanka, which had been previously burnt by Hanuman. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Great mountain peaks covered with trees and plants were thrown into the sea by the monkey soldiers and began to float by the supreme will of the Lord. By the supreme will of the Lord, many great planets float weightlessly in space like swabs of cotton. If this is possible, why should great mountain peaks not be able to float on water? This is the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can do anything and everything he likes because he is not under the control of the material nature. Indeed, material nature is controlled by him. Mayadyakshena prakriti suyate sacha charam. Only under his direction does prakriti or material nature work. Similar information is given in the Brahma Samhita 552. Yas yagya brahmati samrita kala chakro govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. Describing how material nature works, the Brahma Samhita says, the sun moves as desired by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, for Lord Ramachandra to construct a bridge over the Indian Ocean with the help of monkey soldiers who threw great mountain peaks into the water is not at all wonderful. It is wonderful only in the sense that it has kept the name and fame of Lord Ramachandra eternally celebrated. Once again, the translation of the verse. Sukadeva Goswami said, after constructing a bridge over the ocean by throwing into the water the peaks of mountain whose trees and other vegetation had been shaken by the hands of great monkeys, Lord Ramachandra went to Lanka to release Sita Devi from the clutches of Ravana. With the direction and help of Vibhishan, Ravana's brother, the Lord, along with the monkey soldiers, headed by Sugriva, Nila, and Hanuman, entered Ravana's kingdom, Lanka, which was previously burnt by Hanuman. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So dear devotees, I ask for your blessings. I am curiously a little nervous because there are a little less than online that come on the online audience, but a little more than is usually here. And as I try to speak some words and pray that I can be somehow an instrument, the main point of such a lecture on such a day for me is that we try to think of Lord Ramachandra and we take something away that maybe gives us some point of meditation for the day. Yesterday, I think in the answer and question part with Ananda Krishna in the lecture, he mentioned, or he quoted Prabhupada, where he spoke about what it is to be Krishna conscious. That sometimes we think it's way over there, some other space. But Prabhupada put it simply, it's to think of Krishna. If we can think of Krishna, then we are Krishna conscious. So today, we take it a little bit to Ram consciousness. If we can think of Lord Ram, then it will hopefully give us light through the whole day. Our Bashar here is in Lord Ram's color of green, so it's already a sign. Who here is not at all familiar with the pastimes of Lord Ram? I thought maybe Brian and Elias and a few others. And I hope it's okay. It's quite short, but very succinct. At the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 10, Prabhupada summarizes the story. So I will just read it. It's not so long, but a little bit longer than a purport. This is mostly that we have a summary and also for our meditation. So many of us, like myself from childhood, we know the story of Lord Ram. But today is a day which we can become Ram conscious by remembering the story. So those who already know it, maybe you can just remember, so to say, as I read through. Okay? Is that okay? Yeah, I don't want to... Okay, so chapter 10 entitled The Pastimes of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra. So the 10th chapter describes how Lord Ramachandra appeared in a dynasty of Maharaj Katvanga. It also describes the Lord's activities, telling how he killed Ravana and returned to Ayodhya, the capital of his kingdom. This is quite a long story, so it's summarized very short. I just wanted to explain because I will go later into the explanation. Okay, the son of Maharaj Katvanga was Diga Bahu, and his son was Raghu. The son of Raghu was Aja. The son of Aja was Dasarat. And the son of Dasarat was Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord descended into this world in his full quadruple expansion as Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharat and Shatrughan, so these are the 4 brothers, great sages like Valmiki, who are actually in knowledge of the absolute truth, described his transcendental pastimes. Srila Sukadeva Goswami described these pastimes in brief. Lord Ramachandra went with Visamrita and killed Rakshasas like Maricha. After breaking the stout and strong bow known as Harudanu, the Lord married Mother Sita and cut down the prestige of Parshuram. Then, to obey the order of his father, he entered the forest accompanied by Lakshman and Sita. There he cut off the nose of Shurpanakha and killed the associates of Ravan, headed by Kara and Dushana. Ravana's kidnapping of Sita Devi was the beginning of this demon's misfortune. When Maricha assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi. But in the meantime, Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. When Sita Devi was kidnapped, Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lakshman, searched for her throughout the forest. In the course of this search, they met Jatayu. Then the Lord killed the demon Kambanda and the commander Vali and established a friendly relationship with Sugriva. Sugriva is the head of the monkeys. After organizing the military strength of the monkeys and going with them to the shore of the sea, the Lord awaited the arrival of Samudra, the ocean personified. But when Sumatra did not come, the Lord, the master of Sumatra, became angry. Then Samudra came to the Lord with great haste and surrendered to him, wanting to help him in every way. The Lord then attempted to bridge the ocean, and with the help of advice from Vibhishan, he attacked Ravana's capital, Lanka. Previously, Hanuman, the eternal servant of the Lord, had set fire to Lanka, and now with the help of Lakshman, the forces of Lord Ramachandra killed all the Rakshasa soldiers. Then Lord Ramachandra personally killed Ravana. Monodari and other wives lamented for Ravana, and in accordance with Lord Ramachandra's order, Vibhishan performed the funeral ceremonies for all the dead in the family. Lord Ramachandra then gave Vibhishan the right to rule Lanka and also granted him a long duration of life. The Lord delivered Sita Devi from the Shaka forest and carried her into a flower aeroplane to his capital Ayodhya, where he was received by his brother Bharat. When Lord Ramachandra entered Ayodhya, Bharat brought his wooden shoes. Vibhishan and Sugriva held a whisk and fan. Hanuman carried an umbrella. Shatrugna carried the Lord's bow and 2 quivers, and Sita Devi carried a water pot containing water from the holy places. Angada carried a sword, and Jambavan carried a shield. After Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lord Lakshman and his mother Sita Devi, met all his relatives, the great sage Vashishta enthroned him as king. The chapter ends with a short description of Lord Ramachandra's rule in Ayodhya. That's a lot, that's really condensed. So many will know, some of you may have read that Sri Valmiki, he has a version that as Vaishnavas we read of the Ramayana. It's very long and goes into a lot of details. I was listening this morning to a lecture from Srila Prabhupada speaking on Lord Ram. He says, it might give some inspiration. On the birthday of Lord Ramachandra, we offer our respectful obeisances at his lotus feet, so that he may be merciful upon us to bestow his bhakti, devotional service. We are fallen souls. We have no power to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but as it is directed by the Shastra, there is no difference between Sri Ram and Sri Krishna. But one devotee is attracted by one feature of the Lord, and the other is attracted by the other feature. So for some, Lord Ram plays a special feature. Normally in our tradition we don't speak as much of Lord Ram as we speak of Krishna, but there are some ISKCON temples in the world like Bhaktivedanta Mana or Juhu that have Ram, Sita, Lakshman, Hanuman deities. We also have Lakshman on our altar here. And it's interesting because Prabhupada states that there isn't a difference, but it's of the orientation of how we see Lord Ram. A little bit contradictory, but not completely. Prabhupada goes on to say that by chanting 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu is equal to one name of Lord Ram. And by chanting 3 names of Lord Ram, this is equal to one name of Krishna. But Ram and Krishna are always chanted together, he later on says, with our Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So some facts. Also, the pastimes of Lord Ram took place around 2 million years ago. So in context to 5,000 years with Krishna and 500 of Lord Chaitanya, we're talking a lot of time ago. And different parts of India, in one sense, is important, not so important, but they sometimes have attraction more for certain forms. So often from Gujarat, they will talk of Lord Ram. Just as if you see visitors here, mostly are from South India who worship Nrsimha Swami in their home place. And my grandmother raised me as a Vaishnavi, and she spoke often of Lord Ram and the difference of Krishna. So in a very serious way, she would talk of Krishna as too naughty. But Lord Ram, he was the model of a divine ruler, noble husband, and so many other qualities that he had. And she wore a ring in Sanskrit which said Ram. She always wore this ring, and I remember being inspired, and I asked her about the ring, and she told me that because she followed Lord Ram, I'm trying to translate it in the language of Gujarat or Hindi, it's a little more sweet, it's more linked to if this is who you followed, then this is who you have. And I also, for many, many years, also wore this ring of Ram. Ironic that's the beginning of my husband's name. Okay, so, but like the vision of Lord Ram is that there are many qualities of him where in one sense he appeared without supernatural powers. Like with Krishna, there's many amazing things that he achieves, like lifting Govardhan or how he kills the demons. Whereas Lord Ram did it often with his bow and arrow. Like it's said that he killed in the Ramayana of Valmiki 14,000 soldiers from Ravana just by himself. No nuclear weapons, nothing major, just a potency. And this verse in particular, Prabhupada speaks about this quality of omnipotence. So this word omnipotence meaning unlimited strength. Unlimited strength. Yesterday I felt a bit sick, and I couldn't do some simple things that I wanted to do. And one realizes that as one gets a bit older, how one is the opposite of omnipotent, the opposite. So I thought the Lord is unlimited and he manages to achieve everything. But sometimes we live our lives as if we are omnipotent, especially when you're young. At least for me, when I was young, I was running here and there and everywhere, doing everything, and subtly maybe believing that I could do everything. One sense it's not wrong, because practically one gets a lot done, Like, can we go back to Krishna's lifetime? Yeah, sure, why not? Can we chant a rounds? Why not? Can you roll out of bed for Mangalati? Sure, let's go, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I managed this. I've lived now here in Simhachalam by the grace of Lord Nrsingadev for over 11 years. And for 8 years I remember being like like on a mission. Someone said, "You're on a mission?" Yes, I'm on a mission to try to serve. And on that mission, one starts to realize afterward that some level of pride creeps in, because one can achieve so much. One can make the program, one can make all the service that's dolled up. I was treasurer here for quite some time on the temple board and had babies on the way, so to say. So it was like, okay, flipping these things, by the Lord's grace I can manage it. And after 8 years, I had a health crisis. Actually, I just got corona, as Kadama Kanana Maharaj did at the same time. We both got it quite bad. And for me, something internal shifted in terms of, oh my goodness, I can't really achieve very much. Oh, the devotees are asking me to do something, I cannot really manage it, but I could manage so much before. Did I think I was omnipotent? Maybe 5%, yes. Maybe I could just do it by the Lord's grace if He wants. And it was an evolution in terms of this thought of thinking, okay, I cannot manage this. And I remember at that point where I was really struggling, and I went to Lord Nishingadev and I said, if I am to continue and you want me to, please heal me so that I can serve you and also my little Vaishnava monkeys at home, my boys. If not, then I don't know how I can continue at this moment in time. And yeah, he gave the strength again. And I learned from that an important lesson that time of at least trying to surrender to the Lord's will and what He wanted to learn. Somehow this running and doing service is not a problem, it's very nice. But one must not forget also to go internally. When you're externally doing a service, but internally something else is at work, one has to question what is happening then. And sometimes I realize it's some very simple things in our lives that make us turn to the Lord. And at that moment where we are turning to the Lord, I do believe at some point He looks back at us. This is the weight of the Lord, so to say. He, in one moment, could make us all Krishna conscious. In one moment, when we are thinking of Him, today when we think of Lord Ram, in that moment when we become Ram conscious, to understand that we are actually with Him. Simple, oh? Simple? And then yet so complicated. Why it doesn't happen? Sometimes it's just, I realize also for myself, maybe I just make it complicated. Something comes up, the child needs something is happening. But I also, this morning with the children, as I was thinking of the verse, I said, okay, my boys are called Charu, Giridhari and Murari. So I asked, what do you remember of Lord Ram? Do you remember of Lord Ram? Come, tell me. He is married to Sita. Very good, very good. And who's Ram's brother Lakshman? And who is the great devotee of Lord Ram? Hanuman! Hanuman is great amongst children because he shows a lot of his strength. And then as adults, what of you, our point, or what part in our pastime, Nandi Mukhi asked me yesterday, what part in the pastimes of Lord Ram, because many of you have gone and understood in more details the story of Lord Ram, which part appeals to you? Just take a moment now to think of the story of pastime. For Brian and Elias, who have not heard but I read earlier, try to think of any parts that stuck out to you in this moment of Lord Ram. Now, those who do come to my lectures know that I always try to make it a little interactive. So this is the point, that if we go to a lecture and at the end we don't remember anything or remembered some obtuse point that was not the point. I thought you put your hand up, Martina. So it's very important that we have a personal experience of what's going on in the lecture and what's happening at this moment in time. So please, just for a moment, please think of the pastime of Lord Ram. And then any particular story that strikes you, we will speak about in a moment. Don't know if we need music or anything. Do we need music, Lord Ram? I will play something just for a moment. The point is that you just spend some moments to imagine what is happening. I was listening also a bit to a lecture today from Krishna Kshetra Swami as well. And he's always has such open-minded thoughts and says things like, you know, Lord Ram made the stones float in the water like the swabs of, like planets, like swabs of continent. Why not? Why not? Huh? So just have a little, I don't know if a flute is, okay, let's forest meditation. So something on Lord Ram, guided sleep. It's terrible, with Kali Yuga, you cannot listen to anything without. I don't play a flute because you will only think of Lord Krishna. So I play some forest, something to do with the forest, because Lord Ram was in a long time in the forest, at least something. Let's see if it works. I will read a little bit just to trigger your memories again, but not for long, okay? The main thing is if you can think of your own. Lord Ramachandra, after breaking the stout and strong bow known as Harudanu, he married Mother Sita and cut down the prestige of Parshuram. To obey the order of his father, he entered the forest, accompanied by Lakshman and Sita. There he encountered Supanaka and killed the associates of Ravan, headed by Katha and Dushana. Later, when Marichi assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi. But in the meantime, Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. Jatayu came along, Vibhishan came along, the brother of Ravana, and finally, Ram rescues Sita and goes back to Ayodhya. On this auspicious day of Ram Navami, what pastime of Sri Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman or Sita comes forth in your mind? I'm so grateful when somebody offers to speak before I ask. Okay, so, I didn't grow tall. That's so tall. Oh, it's still my notes from last week, 2 weeks ago. Huh? Sorry. Okay, Julian, you please start speaking. I will try to clear it up.
Okay, I thought that as we chant Sita Ram and Radha Krishna, we should start with Srimati Sita Devi. And I remember that when Lord Ram, when he had to go into exile, when he was exiled in the forest, and he told his brother Lakshman and his wife Sita about it, that now he has to go in the forest and they should stay in the palace and they should take good care of everything, then Sita was so shocked that how could you abandon me here in this terrible place, which is a terrible place without you? I could never let you go alone to the forest and not accompany you. And so she was so determined that she would go along with Lord Ram, and she said that wherever you are, it's better than any palace, and if you're not there, then I don't care if it's even the most beautiful palace, you know. I don't want to be there, you know, without you. And so she was so faithful that she didn't even think about staying back in the palace with all the queens and all the luxury. And actually, she enjoyed the time very much being in the forest together with Ram, and she very much enjoyed the life of simplicity there. And so she is a great example, the greatest example for all women, and of course also in a way for all Vaishnavas, of how she's so faithful to Lord Ram, and how she didn't even for a moment flicker in her determination to accompany Lord Ram into the forest.
Very beautiful. Thank you very much. I think also in this chapter, it speaks about Sita Devi being an example of a Vaishnavi that us Vaishnavis can follow, a very good example of what it was. And if one thinks of it, Sita was a princess, you know. She was used to not cooking, even she had someone to dress her, you know, many things like this. So it shows she's not like a camping type person, you know, who goes. So the fact that she had so much devotion to Lord Ram is very explicit in this pastime. Thank you, Julian, for bringing this out. So Lord Ram. How can we put the Sita's devotion, Sita's austerity? How would you summarize it? Sita's. Let's at least begin with devotion to Lord Ram. To Lord Ram. To follow him into the forest. Huh? Okay, someone else. Munindra Gana, do you have a... Sorry, I've lost your older devotee.
My thought was when Ramachandra have to leave. This is I think it's a very dramatical...
when he has to leave Ayodhya, huh?
Yes, and actually also from Lakshman, how he was reacted and how he is also very, how to say, I don't know in English.
In Deutsch?
So angehaftet und treu zu Rama. He's really attached and really loyal. Surrendered, loyal to Ram.
Yeah.
It's very hingegeben, sehr hingegeben zu Lord Ram.
Yeah, Ram tried to talk Lakshman out of it, as he tried to talk Sita about not coming, but there was no way. This was it. This was his Ram. He would follow him. And this, every time I think of the pastime of Lord Ram, this is where he leaves. Before that, when I say also for Brian and Elias, everything is going good in the life of Lord Ram. He is due to be coronated as the king of Ayodhya. Everything is going wonderfully. And then Mantre, the servant of KK, she comes along and she makes trouble. Last year we had Kadamba Kadamba Maharaj's Vyasa Puja here. And last minute, came to deliver the message that one of the devotees was sick, she cannot play, and it was just before the performance. They said, "Can you perform?" And I'm like, "Who?" And they were like, "Can you perform mantra?" And I was just like, "Oh no!" To me, she represents one of the horror, the opposite of bad. The opposite of good. Like terrible, terrible. She spins everything and poisons the mind of Kakai. And so, to play such a role is like really you take all of any emotion that comes in terms of disgust and this, and she throws it at Kakai. And what is one of her lines that she says? You will become a servant, Kakai. This is a big thing for a queen. You will become a servant of her, of the Lord of the others. Lord Ram will push you away. You want to be a servant? How foolish are you? She twists and twists until the mind of Kakai is shifted. Kakai is the wife of Ram's father, Dasarath. Yeah? So she shifts it until he, bound by a vow, he must first make Kakai's son, Bharat, into king and then banish Ram from the forest. So it's really, and it's basically so heavy on Dasarath that at the point that Lord Ram leaves, Dasarath gives up his body. It's one for the emotions, and for us ladies, a box of tissues. I mean, it's really like the whole thing. So this is very dramatic. Munandragana said dramatic. One quality that one can understand by this of Lord Ram is his noble and loyal qualities as a son to a father. He follows what was requested of him. Even when afterwards Dasarath tries to come out and back up, he said no, he is pledged he will go to the forest, so he follows through. Supal.
Yeah, actually I also wanted to say this, exactly that Lord Ramachandra was so humble when his father said you need to go to exile, even though he was to be crowned the next day. Yeah. And in general, this aspect of the whole pastime I like a lot, because you see all the humility and faithfulness of all the devotees, also Bharata, who put the shoes of Lord Ramachandra on the throne, Sita and Lakshman, who followed Lord Ramachandra.
So Bharat refused. So Kakai said that, okay, my son Bharat will be king, but Bharat wasn't there at the time. Do you want to go later? So Bharat came back, and then he found out that Ram has been exiled to the forest, and he was distraught. He goes after Ram, but Ram has already pledged that he will go into exile. So for these, how many years was it he was in exile? 13, 14, something like this. So for these years, there was no real ruler of Ayodhya. They said the lights were almost out for that time. And on place of where the throne of the king would be, Bharat placed the shoes of Lord Ram. So yes. So this is you said faithfulness of the others, Bharat. It's also sort of unheard of in such a time. That for so long would be no ruler, that Lord Ram was ruling in his presence with his shoes. The throne. Bharat. Okay, shoes. Please, Hare Krishna Prabhu, your name?
Hare Krishna, I'm Kala Das.
You are?
Kala Das.
Kala?
Kala like time, yeah.
Time, Kala Das. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. We can remember when there was a rumors among people about if Sita Devi is chaste. So there was very intense period.
This is when Ram has rescued Sita and she is brought back, and Ram is ruling after the whole story.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
so it was put a question if she is a chaste because Ravana touched her and it's going on. So we can see exemplary acting in Lord Ramachandra, how he have a big reputation amongst people. So
Do
reputation.
you want to explain what happened?
It's story.
Yeah, but just
she go into the fire to show how she's actually very chaste to Lord Ramachandra. So when she go in the fire, fire didn't want to take her. We can say like that. Yeah. So this was evidence. So after that she passed this lila. But principle here is that Lord Ramachandra put example that everything, as a rule of king, everything is to have a good reputation amongst the people. So that was very, very important for the leaders. Yeah. Reputations amongst the people.
And also that Sita Devi's chastity was proved, so to say, yeah. Just a little heavy. Ramayana, where Krishna's pastime has a bit more of a jovial or lighter or theme, Ramayana is quite deep and goes quite deep and serious. So one can say one can be quite thoughtful when one thinks of Lord Ram. Ladies, Mataji, etwas das ich kenne from diese Geschichte. Something of Lord Ram. Anything that you like. Doesn't have to be. I always go to Kishorikund if nobody will. Gibt es eine Linde, sie kann übersetzen? Oh, it's not on.
Ja, ich fand dieses Lila eben auch immer sehr traurig, das zu hören, dass die Beziehung dann zu Ende geht. Aber Rama hat eben seine Stellung eingehalten. Und dadurch, dass das Volk ihn zur Rechenschaft gezogen hat, dass das nicht geht, wenn Sita mal in anderen Händen war, dass er sie dann wieder annehmen kann, dann hat er auf sein eigenes Glück und das von Sita verzichtet und ist seiner Stellung gerecht geworden, die das Volk von ihm gefordert hat.
Linda, you want to try to translate for online viewers? Sorry. Oh, I can try. Basically, Kishore Rikud said it was a sad story how it sort of ends, this Leela too, because Sita has to prove her chastity. Oh?
Yeah, and he took the responsibility.
Yeah, she took the responsibility. People are very responsible in this Leela of Lord Ram as well. Okay. No, für online. Komm, du hast immer gesungen, das ist kein Problem.
Also grundsätzlich, was mir halt einfällt, ist halt eben, dass Lord Rama halt der beliebteste und also König, beste König und so weiter.
So she says that Lord Ram is known as one of the beloved king, can one say? Beliebst? Beloved king or ruler, huh? Yeah. So yeah, he's an example. Still now in India, there's some groups which are led, I forget what it's called, Ram Vijay, but they want to recreate the political system. I mean, it's really a little far-fetched, but in the way of Lord Ram, because he ruled in such a way that everything was extremely paka. But now we're in Kali Yuga. It's a bit different. There's no other stories or pastimes that stick. If Nandi Mukhi was here, should have a few. You remember? Oh, please, thank you.
Like in his childhood, like he was the best student at his school, and like he was like a good brother also, and he was he respected everyone, and everyone loves him.
Good brother, yep. Very nice. Childhood, yes. It's very nice childhood. Matajis, what are your good names?
Saridvara Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And yours? Induleka. And yours?
Sajana.
Do you have anything that you like to remember of Lord Ram? Oh,
my English is not so good,
it's okay.
so I will try something. Maybe to tell about Lord Ramachandra's father.
His father.
How he loved his son very much, and how he was sad when he needed to leave the Ayodhya, and how he was loyal to his wife because he gave her a promise because she saved him his life. He gave her a promise to give her a boon, something like I don't know exactly how to explain.
It's
Maybe
right.
you
Yes,
can
it's a
help
boon.
me.
Yes, okay. So, if this is correct, Kakai was saved Dasarat on the battlefield
Yes.
one time, and Dasarat gave her a boon. So he gave her this promise that whatever she asks for, he will fulfill that to her. And that was many years before. And on this point, where Kakai poisoned her, she asked him for this boon.
Yes, and how he stick to his wall.
He stick to his word,
Yes.
yeah. Kept his.
And after that, he almost died from sadness.
Yeah, he
yes.
did die. Oh, he left.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's an extreme story of. You don't have to if you're too. You want to say something? You cannot English. Okay, it's okay. So I will come in a second to you. Basically, the story of Ramayana is full with like this, the feeling we have of humility, of faithfulness, of nobility, of tragedy in one sense too, but underlying it all is that there is the sense that in the end Lord Ram fulfills what he's needed to do, which is also to kill the Ravanas, which was bequested from him by the demigods as well. Everything is weaved and into a story. So Brian, you just heard the Leela for the first time, maybe, or part today. What sticks out to you? He said he didn't know the story.
I didn't understand. Like, shall I share the story also, or like, or
Yes,
also?
whatever you like. Yes.
I don't know many, but I do remember one. You actually partially mentioned that the servant got very much poisoned, and everything was trying to turn in bad somehow, and so she tried also to convince the wife of his father that Lord Ram shouldn't be becoming the king, because otherwise she would have been neglected. And so she also got somehow poisoned, and then till the point that she went to Lakshman, and she also told how she started to tell how Lord Ram couldn't be becoming a king as well, and actually Lakshman should have becoming the king, and she told him how to consider this, and because of Lord Ram is not good for this and that reason, and Lakshman got very much offended, and like how could she thought that he could become the king instead of Ram, and so he got very much that much displeased that he just went away from the mother, and then he got a very big army, and he went to look for Ram in the forest, and he wanted to give the army to him, and and then there were some servants also of Ram before going before reaching Ram, and they also thought, oh Lakshman, you're coming here with this big army, you're about to you want to go to.
You mean Bharat? Oh, Bharat comes with the army because Lakshman was with Ram.
What's that?
Bharat goes to.
Oh yes,
Sorry,
yeah. And and they also you just come here and you want to fight with Lord Ram and this and that, and he again oh, how could you think of that of me? And he got very much he was feeling so bad inside. I just want the best out of Lord Ram. And actually Ram all the way through, he knew what was in the heart of Bharat, and so that's also very I would say sweet kind of pastime, and also showing the envy that was there in the other people, and that manifested in this wanting to project their own envy into Bharat.
Two things strike me when you repeat that. And one part is the power of bad association. It's sort of high up people, civilized, polished people, but this power of just having the wrong person saying the wrong things can cause a lot of mass destruction, one can say. And the second part there too is, that's a sweeter part of Lakshman. Lakshman shows some emotion which is not, which reacts to a situation, which is maybe a little bit more that we can relate to. This happens. We're like, what happened? Lord Ram seems to take it all very much. Okay, it's happening. Okay, I'll just change to go to the forest. What is going on here? And Lakshman, I think he was even ready. He was ready to defend his Lord Ram against Bharat when all of these soldiers came, because they thought, yeah, they're ready to attack Lord Ram. He's like getting ready to fight, and so it's not quite what's needed in the situation, but it sort of brings some more sweeter qualities of what is happening. Anybody else want to share something like this? I think we did good. I'm so sorry. Please, hopefully nobody feels bad to be put on the spot there. It was just that in that moment where we try to think personally what we're connected to, then it gives some strength later on in that day. When Munindragana mentioned about this dramatic part of this story, I have to say sometimes I want to forget about it. I want to forget how sad it all is. However, in terms of a higher understanding in our philosophy, it's more to see that there is a reason for every aspect of the pastime of the Lord. When one goes to read more into it, one goes into it. Even the fact that Lord Ram had to be exiled in the forest in such a way as a king for him to be able to defeat the Rakshasas, which was what the demigods had prayed to him for. So everything weaves into its own way, and its story. Yes, it's getting up to 9 o'clock. I don't know if our one person we didn't mention at all, funnily enough, is Hanuman. Oh, we didn't mention Hanuman. Hanuman, he is a great example of friend and devotee of Lord Ram, completely faithful to him in every aspect. I heard in part of a lecture, Prabhupada says it is not that we imitate Hanuman's actions, but his service attitude is to be followed, because each of us has some capacity. So by this, it's just Hanuman's devotion to Lord Ram which enables him to do so much. Yeah, he's goes longer, but he has even, because he was naughty when he was younger, his mystical powers are forgotten. So at the point where Lord Rama appears, he wants to help, they let him have remembrance again. Just with us too, sometimes we think, what are we? We are not capable of much, not this. But by the Lord's grace, we are capable of doing so much for the Lord. And that is one quality maybe to take with us, that from this chapter it says that the Lord is omnipotent. He is able to do so much unlimitedly. We are limited, but by the Lord's grace we are able to fulfill whatever He allows us to do. But that mostly comes in conjunction with a desire. Please, Lord, let me serve you when we chant. And in our other actions, please let me serve you. Then you see He makes it happen one way or the other. I leave it now unless there's any other questions. I hope there was some sort of inspiration there somewhere along the way. The more that we meditate on a pastime or a lila, the more that we are connected to it, and the more we are conscious then of the Lord. Sometimes, as Prabhupada said in regards to being Krishna conscious, to think of it, it's that simple. Then we become conscious. You have a question? Kala Prabhu. Kala Das Prabhu. Please, you have a microphone because they are online.
Try to be short because it's already 9, yeah. So I will try to be short. It's actually very connected with your last thoughts about consciousness. And at the beginning you say something like that and you catch my mind. And this is really, really good question, because when we celebrate Mahotsava, or this is basic thing, everything in the Krishna consciousness is basic thing to remember Krishna. We can connect this with the verse in Bhagavad Gita when Krishna said that at the moment of that, what you're thinking, that destination you will attain. Mm-hmm. This verse sounds very, very simple, but it's very, very deep. Once upon a time, I spoke with His Holiness Bhaktiananda Tirtha Swami. Maybe some of those knows him. He was here a few times. So I put this question: what means consciousness? So, paraphrasing him, this is the principle. We can imagine layers, not actually imagine, this is reality. We have layers of consciousness. Just like a skin, we have layers of skin. So it's not levels, it's layers, so that you are not on 1, 2, 3. This is permanent. This is built like that. Mm-hmm. So what we thinking, what was I thinking, and many devotees based on this verse. I driving emergency ambulance in Croatia, so
paramedic.
Yeah. So we have a lot of accidents, car accidents. So there is immediate death. Maybe you don't, people don't understand how this is happening when it's crash, immediate death. So you don't have a time. You can put a question in this situation. Can I now? This is surprise. You are done. So you will not at that moment. Oh, Krishna, no. In this situation, you will probably not do that. Mm-hmm. So that is a good question. Did I pass like a Krishna conscious person, or I think on my duties, what I need to do or something? So this is the first layer of the consciousness which is here, and we always communicate with the world on the first layer. But what is consciousness really? Is a fundamental consciousness. What are really we are? Mm-hmm. So this is consciousness. What we're trying to build in our life. This is so. If persons don't think like that in the time of death, mm-hmm. Krishna and now, so what, Goloka? No, it's your fundamental consciousness during the life. Yeah. Did you cultivate devotion to Krishna through sadhana bhakti, pancharatrika vidi, bhagavat vidi. So this is you. So at that moment, that will send you further. So this is consciousness, actually. So definitely, if you think of Krishna, this is you quote Prabhupada. If you think of Krishna, you will. But
yeah. So just to say, with consciousness, so you speak it more in that level of a state of being.
Yeah.
The one is, it's like you're fully developed. It could be this layer, but in whatever you may be. So it could be material consciousness, but this moment we're trying to have Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
And in that moment, because you have a dramatic job, so to say, when you see that one doesn't know, of course, what happened at that point, and everything that we do in our lives, we're cultivating to become, in that moment, be it, I'm gone.
Who you are at that moment, that's the question. Who you are. Are you devotee or,
or not, yeah.
Or you are Krishna conscious at that moment.
And I think also, this is one reason I live in the temple, to try to put it in any layer I can. On the same time, one sees when one lives in the temple, it's not that easy. One has to be very active in trying to fill the consciousness really with Krishna. Like, of course, on one level, we spoke about this point of thinking of the Lord. So it is this. I just say that sometimes it can seem that spiritual life is too hard. It's an aspiration that maybe we fulfill in 10 years' time. But Prabhupada brings it home that we can be Krishna conscious in every moment. That's the point. However, for most of us, we cultivate our lifetime. I told my husband after practicing 20 years, which is not so long, but it's not so little, I said, I just realized that I'm not so much a devotee. I'm just an ordinary person trying to put Krishna into my life. And one doesn't know, we had an accident in the snow 3 months ago. And, because we were like paragliding and there was no control and it was a long while. And then it was like, like this, And we were lucky we ended up not on the trees, but we ended up in the field. So it was like a whole... And I thought, this is just what comes out by being years here. It's like Nishingadev, it's a longer word than Krishna, but at least it's something. But in that moment, I thought, when I was in the car, I wasn't thinking of Krishna in that moment. I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking of ordinary, whatever needs to be done,
So this example shows that you are at definitely one level Krishna conscious. But if you didn't have a time to say Nisimhadev, that will not mean that you are not Krishna conscious. That will not mean that, No,
it doesn't mean that you're not Krishna conscious, but at the same time, one does question, where is the consciousness?
Yeah.
That's our cultivation of what we are doing on Bhakti Yoga, right? Of what we go. This time we covered the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. For others, one may want to go deeper into his qualities, and that can also, from Valmiki, one can meditate on these qualities of Lord Ram in terms of his nobility, his humility, his truthfulness, his ability, and one connects deeper then in this way. Or we pray to Lord Ram to as Prabhupada says, to bestow us with his bhakti or his devotional service process. Thank you very much for adding that. That's very, it brings that deeper dimension into this. Nice. Lord Ramachandra ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna. Consciousness, wow. Consciousness, Bewusstsein. Prabhupada hat gesagt, wenn wir möchten Krishna-Bewusstsein sein, wir müssen erstmal bewusst sein. Sorry.